Okay, it's Andre Johnson here with Deal Mastery, here with Kevin Davis, one of our Mastermind Pro experts. Known Kevin for almost 15 years at this point and have seen Kevin grow tremendously from when he started investing and now has his own full-time real estate wholesaling and development business. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Trying to date me there, no, doing pretty well. Doing good.
All right, cool. So thanks for taking the time to be with us on this. And I think it'd be very, very educational and inspiring for folks watching this. And let's take it way back to, mid 2000s and kind of catch people up to speed with your story. And we first, came to start working together when, my company was doing a high volume turnkey rehabs for investors. We were doing probably 8 to 10 properties a month in terms of identifying good projects to fix and then flip. But in most cases, we had a model where we had a wholesaling buyer, which would be our rehabbing partner. And then we had a investor that was interested in a turnkey rental who would be the end buyer. And so our operation back then in the mid 2000s to the late 2000s was to provide a JV partnering turnkey rehab. And we had to churn through a lot of properties at that point in time in order to, cover our overhead. And I think at that time, we had probably 4 or 5 employees, some out in the field, some in the office. And back then, I think you were looking to get into the real estate space, and that's how, we met, with you, kind of getting thrown to the fire, so to speak, working in our office back then. And why don't you just, catch people up to speed with what your background is, what kind of had drawn you to real estate, and just so everyone can get to understand Kevin Davis, the man.
Yeah, definitely. So, thrown in the fire was definitely the case. It's a good thing, though. So I actually, just kind of stepping back, briefly about that time, I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. I just didn't know how, quite frankly. I didn't have, I don't come from money. My parents don't have a lot of money, blue collar workers and such. I went to decent school, high school, and I, went to college and kind of thought I was going to be in stocks, learned about that, and quite honestly didn't like it. There was just no control. So brought me back to Baltimore, and I actually was working at a title company for a couple years, just still trying to figure it out. And the funny thing is, I was working at a title company and actually processing wholesale transactions and had no clue that's what I was processing. So we had some, settlement officers that were doing wholesale deals, and we're looking like, man, I remember talking to my coworker and we're like, man, they must have a ton of cash. They're literally buying the property and selling it the same day. And we had no idea that they were assigning deals or double closing or doing whatever. So fast forward, that job,
But one second there, Kevin, because that is a critical observation that you just made looking back in time.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you know how many real estate agents are comfortable making, 3% that they have to split with their broker. So they may take home half of the 6% and then half of that, or 90% of the half of 6%. Yeah. So many real estate agents may take home, 2.5% of a commission, okay, where they see wholesale transactions happen. Title companies, they see wholesale transactions happening. Your lenders, they see wholesale transactions happening. Your property inspectors, they see wholesale, and your contractors, they see flips happening. But a lot of times, people, either from fear, from just lack of knowledge, just thinking that, hey, this is something that other people do, something that, I'll never be able to do. A lot of people, they just never take the step forward. They never take the actions required to get the knowledge, to surround themselves with the resources it takes to actually get in the game and to actually be a part of the process. And so I'm glad that looking back, you've made that observation and realized, man, I saw all this money being made. And I'm just glad, and I know you're glad that you actually took the steps, to, start working with the partners and building the relationships it now has taken you to and having your own business.
Yeah. Hindsight is definitely 2020.
Oh yeah, for sure.
then what they were doing, it wasn't very complicated. It isn't complicated. It's not easy, but it's not complicated. I just think, and I learned a lot, working at the title company, but quite honestly, it would have certainly helped me to get it started a little quicker. In real estate, I probably would have got a jump on the market actually tanking. Once once that job ended, quite honestly, that company was just very, put it like this, that the owner went to jail for a couple years at that
Whoa.
time because, finance stuff and
Okay.
keep the money and keep making payments. So that's the type of title company where I was working at, and really had no clue at the time. I was, processing stuff and maybe working in there, I believe we did like their boxes, and they had the whole records, which is funny. It's probably why he got caught. But anyway, not to get off on a tangent. Shortly after I left there, I was kind of in between jobs trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Always wanted to get into real estate, and I don't even know how it may have been like a job posting on Indeed or some type of posting for a job for simply, I don't even know the title. It may have been just kind of like inspecting properties. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, that's I could do that. I've been around properties. My dad's been in construction for over 30 years, so I've been around construction. I knew how to kind of deal with contractors. I could talk to people. I knew a little bit about estimating. So I'm like, all right, that's a nice foot in the door. And I remember, interviewing, and it wasn't explained to me at first, but then once we got into the interview and I kind of came back the second time, it was explaining what it was. My eyes lit up like it was Christmas. So I'm like, wait a minute, this is exactly what I was looking for. And I think at the time your wife that interviewed me, she was like, oh, wait a minute, this guy might be, I kind of saw it in her face. She was like, should we hire this guy? I mean, he looks like something is kind of, but the real thing was that it was something I was looking for a long time, how to do it. And I was, once I got just a taste of it, I was full-fledged in, like, I'm going to learn every single thing about real estate I can, every single technique, every single, process, all of that stuff. And with that, I just, took it as, hey, this is my opportunity. I'm going to get as much knowledge as I can. And guess what? I'm playing with his money. So, it's all good for me. I can go out there, and it was just a really good fit. We did probably over that course of time, maybe over, I know it was well over 100 deals. I couldn't recall how many it was, but it was just really, we got rolling, and we really put a lot of things together. I mean, there's some things in between there, but just it was a really good fit. I took a lot of knowledge. I absorbed as much knowledge, information as possible. And to this day, I still use the same type of techniques, the same type of processes, refining things, adding technology in. That's 2019 and such, and just continuing to hone my skills from that time, moving forward. So I guess, from the start of it to kind of when things were winding down with the market crashing. I mean, I studied, apartment buildings. I studied notes. I studied subject to deals. I studied, how and not necessarily just study them. We were doing the deals.
Absolutely.
And as we continued to kind of add different types of deals on and on, we would just get extremely creative and, quite honestly, just kind of mix and match different techniques. So, I still use a lot of those negotiating skills, and that was something I took forward, even when the market crashed, to say, hey, I have really good negotiating skills I've honed in doing this. Let me continue to hone those skills with the, subsequent jobs that I took while the market was kind of, dipping and diving and doing what it did, the Great Depression of the day of sorts.
Yeah. So, what I'm taking away from, what you just said and how you were able to get started in this business is, you could have gone the route of, just consuming information. So, buying books, tapes, CDs, as it was back in those times. Now, you get a download, a PDF download, or, you get an audio set, if you will. But the best way to actually learn how to invest in real estate is to actually do it. And the best way to actually do it is when you actually are working, with a partner. You're working with an experienced team that has all the proven systems, strategies, and resources for you to be successful. So, so many times people just find themselves, going from meeting to meeting and boot camp to boot camp, and they're just getting information. Whereas the people that actually, take action and actually, get going, those are the investors that actually, make themselves successful, because you're not going to have success on every transaction, every deal, but you have to start somewhere. And so you're absolutely right. So your start was working, in our office, on our team. And then of course I'm sure you remember very early on, I was encouraging you and others, to get your first deal, to start investing. I know it took longer probably than you would have liked, for us to get you over that hump. But before we get into that first deal, that I help you do, let's take it back, to actually, your goals, and what they were when you were starting. So you said you were looking to, it was a great fit because you got to, learn the business. You got to see a lot of marketing in place. You got to see how we communicated with our clients on both the buy and sell side. And so those were systems that were already established. And so for people watching, the best way to actually be successful with your business is to, basically draft on the coattails of someone that has a proven track record. Okay. So you can avoid some of the common mistakes, right? And then so you can also leverage time-tested, proven strategies and systems, that gives you the best chance for you to be successful and maximize the return on your investment. Because no matter, what strategy you pursue in real estate, whether it's fix and flip, whether it's wholesaling, buy and hold, whether it's notes, whatever it is, there is an investment. It may be an investment of your time, it may be an investment of your capital, maybe an investment of your credit, but there's going to be some investment that you're going to have to make. So if you can avoid the commonly made mistakes and you can stick to the tried and true proven strategies and ways of doing things, then you stand the best way to mitigate any risk, that you have in whatever strategy, that you decide to pursue.
Absolutely. I mean, you probably don't even know this, but I actually bought Colton Sheets' course twice, and I opened it up the second time, but it still didn't stick. And this is, I believe, prior to me working, for you. I made the investment, infomercial, just got back out of college. I think I was still working for the title company.
Okay.
I may have cracked it open and kind of breezed through it a little bit and forgot I had it and then rebought it and then, never used that one as well. But until I actually got into the mix of, doing it day to day, negotiating with sellers directly, inspecting properties. And to this day, it's the same way. I have a small, I don't teach often because I'm actually in the business doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, it takes up my time.
Yes.
I have a small team here and there sometimes, depending on where I'm at in my business. And whenever I coach, it's like, look, you can get all the information, from YouTube, from whatever, but quite frankly, unless you're in the business doing it, and that's kind of the way I teach my students whenever I do have students, is that, look, I'm going to throw you in the fire first, and then let's start, putting things together that makes sense. And that's how it worked out best for me. And that's why I advocate that way of coaching, because quite frankly, experience is the best teacher, period, hands down.
Absolutely. Now, can you remember, and I remember it took me a couple years to kind of, be writing you to actually pursue, your own deal, to get your first investment deal under your belt. Because you had for years had helped to make deals happen, working for me in the office, but you hadn't yet, done your first deal yet. So I recall that first deal was somewhat creative. Now, I don't recall the exact details of it, but that first transaction you did, I remember it involving some IRA, self-directed IRA. It was something that was, people would say, wow, that was very complicated for your first deal. But, clearly with the experience that we had and having, many private investors that had self-directed IRA money, having invested with our self-directed IRAs ourselves and helped other investors do the same, it was very commonplace for us. So again, therein lies, working with someone, an experienced partner, allows you to turn what is or possibly could be a missed opportunity into a great deal. I mean, not every deal or investing opportunity is a vanilla, 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house where you just buy at, pennies on the dollar, you put some money into it, and then you make, a 45%, 35% profit. These deals don't always exist like this. You have to have experience and know how to, transactionally engineer how to put a deal together. And more importantly, you have to know, what's the highest and best use of properties, what's the right exit strategy, what's the right game plan. So this particular property, why don't you walk people through what finally got you to the point where, you said, okay, it's time. Let me stop, just, helping other people invest. Let me actually get my first transaction under my belt. What in the mindset, I guess clicked or just triggered for you to just make that decision for you to get in the game yourself? First question. And then second question, if you can just walk through the details of that deal.
Sure. So I'll say this, flat out fear. Even though I had done a number of deals, with you guys, it was fear of spending my own money, quite honestly. At the time I was making decent money, but I still had, I actually had a child already, and, my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, we were still I still had some debt from school. So there's some things going on. So I'm like, hey, I have a job, I have a W-2, and I'm still pay bill mode.
Right.
I make decent money. I'm comfortable.
Right.
And I had to get past that comfort and say, you know what exactly is your goal? What are you really looking to do? Certainly you can continue to ride a coattail. Certainly it's a, great opportunity. Certainly you've learned a lot, but ultimately what is the long-term goal? And, at the time, I think I was probably maybe 23, 20, maybe 20.
Yeah, early to mid 20s. Yep.
I was dumb. I'll be honest. I was young and dumb. Didn't have, I had some ideas of my goals, but I didn't have any plans towards, making those happen. And
that's let me stop you right there, because that's very important. One of the things we do when we work with investors, when we mentor them, and when we start, having first initial conversations with any investor that comes to the Deals Meetup platform or our subgroups, by Baltimore Meetup, which you co-organize, by Southern Maryland Meetup, which is also part of our Deals Meetup network. First thing we do is ask someone, what are your goals? Like, what are your 12-month, so your first year goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals? Like, what are your goals? Because there's so many different ways to get involved in real estate.
Absolutely.
That you have to understand who you are as a person. Okay. You have to understand who you are as a person, what you like, what you don't like, what your asset profile is, meaning, do I have cash and capital? Do I have good credit? Do I have a lot of time, little time? What experience do I have? And so those 4 areas, you might have a lot or a little, or you may have, no strengths in those areas, which is okay too, because you can be successful in real estate without cash, without credit, without a lot of time, and without any experience. But you have to then strategically partner with the right people to leverage the strengths and expertise of people that do have capital, people that do have good credit, people that do have a lot of time, like virtual assistants or other partners willing to work for you, and then people that do have experience. So it doesn't matter that you don't have these things, but if you don't have them, you have to complement your weaknesses with experts that are proven in those areas. But it starts with, though, doing a self-assessment of who you are, okay, Absolutely. What you like, what lifestyle you want to have, how you want real estate to affect and benefit that lifestyle, okay? And then once you define that, then you can say, okay, well, these are my real estate goals. This is the niche, the area of real estate I want to be involved in, whether that's wholesaling or whether it's establishing a portfolio of cash flowing properties or whatever it is. You have to first self-assess and then create your goals. And then once you do that, now you can get into the game with making your first investment. So I'm glad that you hit on that, because you have to first look at yourself and say, what are my goals? Why would I invest? What's my end game? What's my why?
Absolutely. Same thing. Same process I go through with, any of my students are saying, hey, there's so many shiny objects in real estate that you could just get lost in what is the term? Paralysis of analysis. You could continue to just learn about so many different things, but if you never take that action, if you never understand what action you should take based on your goals, then I mean, you're going to be spinning your wheels anyway.
Absolutely. So you had, so what were your goals at the time?
Yeah, at the time it was essentially to begin building wealth. Quite honestly, I think at the time I was leaning to more towards multifamily.
Okay.
And I learned a lot about multifamily. I said, okay, well, I understand wholesaling. I understand what to do. I understand how to generate cash. But quite honestly, it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. People don't realize, wholesaling is great. It's good capital, but it is a lot of work to do it. And I said, okay, well, I kind of want to live a more relaxed lifestyle. I want to spend a lot of time. I mean, I'm a family guy. I love to spend time with my family. I love to take trips. And quite honestly, if I'm not taking trips, I'm just kind of at home with family. I don't get out often. It's just not something I want to do unless we're experiencing life. So I said, okay, based on that, what do I see in real estate that's going to fit me best? And I said, okay, well, multifamily seems great. Problem was I had no cash. I couldn't really get in. And quite honestly, in that business, there's some techniques that you could do to get into properties a little bit more, again, along the lines of SWOT analysis, what your resources are and how you can leverage other people and things like that. But at the time, it wasn't abundantly clear to me, or quite actually back, it was clear, but at the same time, I had to do some things to, number one, fix my own credit, quite honestly, I was driving a terrible car. So, hey, I want to, upgrade my lifestyle a little bit, certain things were like, okay, here's my short-term goals and here's my long-term goals. And in that short-term one, I said, okay, well, I have to get into this business now. The knowledge I have to start applying immediately. So you know what? I need to start doing some of my own deals as well. And then with that, I can start to leverage to get into, maybe multifamily property, which was what my focus was at the time.
Okay, and so let's now dive into that first deal that you completed.
Yeah, definitely.
No one forgets their first, man. So you got to be able to walk me through this. So
yeah,
first deal.
If I recall correctly, I think I found it off of a small mailing that I did. Just a really brief mailing. I don't even know. I it was probably untargeted as heck, and just kind of thrown out there, just saying, hey, you know what?
But it worked. You took action, so
exactly.
It worked.
It was the action that I took. I said, you know what? I have some resources available. Let me just do a small mailing and figure out, if I can get something from it, because I knew the techniques already. I said, okay, well, I have, obviously I have my mentor available if I need access. And I said, I've done this so many times. Why am I so nervous? It was really crazy, because in doing deals for you, there wasn't as much nervousness. But when I went out there on my own and spending my own money, it's like, why am I getting nervous? I do this all the time.
Right.
It made no sense, but at the same time, it did make sense, because you're kind of jumping on the ledge. You got to jump in order to fly. And quite honestly, I had those butterflies of free falling, because I hadn't done it myself. 100%. Hey, I'm going to do this. It's going to be my name on that contract. I'm going to put up a deposit. I'm going to try and walk through. So we got I sent out some mailers on a non-targeted list. I think it was kind of a bird in hand. He was just ready to get rid of the property. He'd owned it in his IRA. The tenants in the property, they were pretty, they were an older couple, they were just kind of ready to move as well. So it was kind of a aligning of the stars that, it wasn't an easy deal, but it was kind of a decent deal to get done. He was very open to working with me. He provided me all the information needed. So he had actually bought the property in his IRA. Many people don't know that they can buy property in their IRA. And he was cash flowing his property. It was just time to liquidate. So we actually had to deal directly with the IRA company. So, we had to get information from them, make certain they signed the contracts, make certain that any funds were proceeded directly to them. And so through that deal, we got the property under contract. His IRA signed off on it. So we're marketing the deal in a couple of different ways that we, done the rest of the deals. We sent them out to a buyer's list. We posted it on Craigslist. We actually listed it, had it listed as well. And I think the buyer came from a combination of the two, kind of a listing here, but he also saw the property, posted. So essentially the buyer came in, we did our walkthroughs. We got all the contracts and stuff wrapped up. There wasn't a ton of issues here, more so dealing with the IRA and making certain their paperwork was proper, because when you deal with banks, when you deal with financial institutions, they are to the T, dot every I, cross every T, to make certain paperwork is processed correctly, especially when you're dealing with, financials such as IRA or, some type of mortgage, if, depending on the deal you're doing. So the biggest hurdle, I think, was just locking in the buyer, because there was some hesitancy about the buyer actually picking up the deal and whether or not the tenant was going to be out. I believe he wound up taking the property with the tenant because they were such a good tenant. We had a really good rapport with the tenant, that was built up. And from that, we were able to get the transaction process. And I recall correctly, I think I profited, me personally, I think that it was a total of, if I recall correctly, somewhere between about $15,000 or $16,000 deal. And between, splits and things that we worked out, I think my first deal, me personally profiting was about, I want to say 7,500, maybe 8,500, somewhere in there. But either way, it was a large sum of money that I was like, okay, this is real. And then the market crashed. So, which is funny, I tell people that all the time. Literally
that's classic.
Done, and then everything started to tank.
That's classic. But you know what? You know what's funny about your story, which is so common about other people's stories, which is why I think it'll be so inspiring, is that to this day, I'll still have new investors come through the Deals Meetup. So most of you watching this know that I founded Deals Meetup in 2010. So we're going on 10 years that we've been running the Deals Meetup. It's first Wednesdays every month at the Harborside Hotel. You can check us out at dealsmeetup.com. So hopefully you'll come through. But yeah, plug there. So we have about 150 to 200 investors come through Deals Meetup. And for those who haven't been, it's a platform, the only deals-only meetup group in the DMV where investors come to find deals, pitch deals, network partner, and invest. And I am never surprised by the number of investors that come through, and they love to see the deals happen, and they love to see deals pitch, but they never actually get in the game and are doing deals themselves. And so, some people will even take the action steps to get mentoring and to, maybe even join our Deal Finders program. And you still have what I uncover as the fear and the self-doubt that it actually will work for me. So people see other people actually wholesaling and, fixing and flipping property. And it might even be someone and trust, like, oh, well, the whole world can't be, coordinating this grand hoax that real estate is the best vehicle to create millionaires. Like, everyone can't be lying. Everyone can't be, just making up this story to have this, coordinated, hoax. And then I'm the only one on the outside, not being the beneficiary. So sure, fear holds people back. Sure, people have self-doubt and lack the confidence until you actually, just close your eyes, hold your breath, and just dive in the water head first. And that's what you have to do, if you actually want to be successful. You have to be willing to take the leap of faith with the right partner, like with the right support system, with the right mentor, with the right proven systems. And so that's what we hope that we offered you, which I think, history proved itself out with you, taking that first deal and that experience and all the training you had working for us. And then now, working with us 15 years later, having your own business, being a valued strategic partner, for our organization. So that's what we hope to provide to others, through our Deals Meetup network, with our Deal Finders program, with our Mastermind mentoring program. We hope that we provide the trusted strategic partners for investors to find, fund, fix, and flip properties. And, this business, you can't do it on your own. You need partners, you need trusted partners, you need resources, you need proven systems, and you can't be an expert at everything. I wrote an article recently titled, "Stop Trying to Improve Your Weaknesses," because you're better off focusing on strengthening your strengths than trying to improve your weaknesses. Okay. When you focus on improving your weaknesses, what you're doing is you're trying to perfect areas of yourself and your business that for some reason are not your strong suit. By definition, you're weak in those areas. You'd be better off finding a resource, a partner, a strategy, a system that can complement you and is expert at that particular area. And now you can focus on whatever you're strong in. Okay. So focus on strengthening your strengths instead of trying to improve your weaknesses. And so
From bad to mediocre, and your weaknesses is just not
right. So you strengthen your weaknesses, and now you're average and mediocre in like a number of different things instead of being, having a superpower and being special at one or two things like superheroes. So you want to be special at one or two things, and then find other people, other platforms, other resources, other partners who are super special in all those other things where you are weak in, and you combine all those things and all these resources, and now you have something that's unstoppable. You have a business that's unstoppable. You have a mindset. You have, a real estate investing powerhouse.
Absolutely.
So go ahead.
I'm glad you said that, because I mean, that's one thing I will say, working with you all those years ago, I did get introduced to so many different types of techniques. And though I do a lot of them well, I still outsource. Anytime I get a short sale deal, I'm looking for an expert in short sale. I have, 2 or 3 that I work with.
Perfect
I know
example.
How to do it.
The perfect example.
I'm not going to do it myself. It takes too much time. I know the process. And quite frankly, they do it better than me. I don't need to do it. I'd rather outsource.
Yeah,
definitely.
And so that example of being able to execute on a specific area of your business doesn't mean that you should execute on that particular area of your business. Okay. Short sales is a perfect example. There's so many other areas of real estate where, like, for example, I mean, full well, I fixed and flipped over 500 houses,
right?
But it's not in my best interest to be out in the field checking on contractors 3 and 4 times a week, as you need to when you are fixing and flipping. Okay. Now, some people may say 3 or 4 times a week. I only go out to my properties once or twice a week. Okay. I mean, whatever it is, I mean, you may have a proven contractor where you feel comfortable enough to do that until they eventually, burn you. And then you'll go back to a new person and you'll be out there 3 or 4 times a week. Right. That's the cycle. But having said that, even 1 or 2 times a week at 3 or 4 projects going on at the same time, it's not the highest and best use of my time, and it's not what I do best. So, I have development partners who will be out in the field, 2 and 3 times per week. That's an example of, again, not trying to, perfect or optimize something that you're not best in, focusing on the things that you are strongest in, and then doing those to the highest and best of your ability. So, that's I'm sure what's helped you to grow your business over time. So fast forward from that first deal, I know the market took a downturn, and then you stepped away from real estate for a short period of time, and then decided to come back to real estate. And we had kept in touch, over the time where you stepped away from full time, being in real estate, and I kept pulling on you. You got to get back. You got to get back in the business. So pick it up from there when you decide to get back into real estate full time, and then how your business has grown from that point.
Sure. So between real estate, the crash to getting back in, I took a number of actually about 2 jobs. Well, 3 if you count. I was a minority partner of a specialty plastering company, so we did that. Big jobs in DC and such. Just contracting business just wasn't working out well in terms of capital-wise. Went on to do short sales for a Fannie Mae backed short sale company. So I did that for a number of, I think about 3 or 4 years. So I kept in the real estate realm. I always knew I wanted to stay in some form of real estate or some form of negotiation, because that's where I kind of started out at. After that, I took a job at a credit resolution company, and honed my skills in negotiating even further than that. That company actually propelled me to get back in. I was on track to for management, making decent money every year, and still with the real estate itch, always nagging at me, like, okay, I'm still watching the market, still seeing what things are happening, and I'm like, getting frustrated and more frustrated at my job, because the way they structure things, I was on track to be a manager, but they would bring in new management, and I'd hire this new management to take over different departments, and then they would pass over me, and I'd hire a new manager, and they'd hire a new manager, and I'm training all these different people, and I'm like, wait a minute, why am I still here? For what reason am I there's no growth here, and I know I really don't want to be here. I'd rather be in real estate. So with that, had a conversation with my wife and said, you know what, I really think, I over the years, I kept talking to her, and she honestly lit the fire and said, you know what, I'm tired of you talking. If you're going to do it, just do it. You know what you're doing. You know what you're going to say. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take that as a challenge. And I took it head first. I actually left my job with a small, it wasn't a pension, but kind of a small severance package.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, when I say I took the leap, I took the leap.
That's exactly how I got in full time. I took a severance package from my employer, and I just dived, closed my eyes head first.
I jumped without a parachute and without whatever you call any type of safety, anything. I jumped, and I did kind of set up before I left. I'd had 3 contacts. I started off. I said, okay, well, I know I need to, aside from I needed something immediate. So I said I had 3 contacts that kind of promised me, oh, we're going to do some deals, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, because I had the experience already. So 2 of those contacts didn't work out initially. One of them did pan out, and one just never materialized to this day, whatever. But I knew systems, I knew processes, I knew how to talk to sellers. And I had a few people that around that were kind of, they were okay in terms of they had some success, but they had no processes, no systems. They had no idea how to manage their leads. They know how to, they were leaving money on the table in terms of negotiating. So I said, okay, well, look, there's a, opportunity here. I know what I'm doing. I know, like, give me a lead, give me a system, give me processes. Well, give me your lead, flow, and I'll build out, it started off as, okay, well, let me build out your, system, and we'll do some deals. Fast track, I built a small, system for them with processes in place. I was able to manage their leads, and I just started running with their deals. And I literally had 0 marketing dollars for the first year that I was in the business, because I was, basically eating off the plate of another investor. We were partnered up. So it was I think it was a 40-50, 50-50 profit, somewhere along the lines. And it worked out very well. That person, didn't, in the end, they kind of got greedy, or, whatever worked out, never talk bad about anyone, but it just didn't work out.
So Kevin, hold on 1 second right there.
Sure.
So when you got back into the business, you didn't have a huge marketing budget, right?
Yep.
But you found an organization that had a lot of leads coming in, more leads than they could handle. Right. And then you worked those leads, and you were splitting the profits 50-50.
I'll be honest, I did most of the work.
So what does that sound like? That sounds awfully similar. Sounds awfully similar to the Deal Finders program, right? Yeah, and so I'm just go ahead.
It works great for people because that was something. I didn't have the marketing budget. I just didn't have the capital. I had to continue to pay bills, but I knew with my knowledge, with my experience, I could get deals done. I had no problem grinding. I had no problem, doing hard work. And quite frankly, they just didn't know how to handle their own business. They didn't know how to handle their own success. And I said, okay, well, I definitely know how to handle that. I can help you. Here's how you can help me. And then we had a really good relationship. So it was just a joint venture situation. We ran for about maybe a year, a little bit over a year. Did quite a bit of business with them. Some other business on the side. I started to doing a little bit of marketing myself. So at the same time, I'm setting up their system and processes. I'm setting up my own to say, okay, at some point, I know I'm going to have to go out on my own, or maybe this does grow into something else. But we don't have anything in writing, so I'm going to assume that at some point it's going to end. So with that, I said, okay, I know I'm going to eventually need to do my own marketing. I started kind of putting things in place to have that happen, and I'm glad it did, because eventually that relationship ended, a little bit more abruptly than I'd expected, but it served its purpose, and I continued to grow from there. I built a huge buyers list to make certain that whenever I was out in the market, I could do other JV deals. To this day, I still get tons of investors, new investors, even some experienced investors that just they don't have enough exposure to the different types of transactions and how to put them together that, I do. And I say, okay, well, if you have a deal and, we can get some synergy, I'll work it out with you. And to this day, I still do a lot of deals, JV with investors, both locally as well as local people that are coming to Baltimore that, don't necessarily know the market. I get a lot of deals done that way. So it's helped serve me in getting back into the business as well as, continuing forward.
Yeah, I've always been a big believer and a proponent of joint venturing or partnering, strategically partnering. And so what you just explained, how you really got back into real estate full time, is that you didn't have a lot of capital for a marketing budget. Now, everyone's heard of OPM, other people's money, right? But there's a lot of other people's
Everything.
There's a lot of other people. You should be finding people that are experts or exceptional in specific areas, and then partnering with them as best you can and where need be. So, you have OPM, other people's money. Well, there's OPC, other people's credit, and people that have great credit can be, strategically valuable to you as a partner to get into a deal, whether it's a fix and flip, a buy and hold, a commercial property, whatever it is. Okay. You have OPD, other people's deals. Like you said, hey, you bring, someone has a deal, they don't know how to structure it, they bring it to you, you can structure it and split the profits 50-50, right? So you have OPT, other people's time, OPE, other people's experience. You have OPP.
We'll stop there.
So that means a lot of different things to different people.
Yeah,
but OPP, other people's properties, other people's processes, other people's plans, other people's promotion, like for marketing purposes, right? So there's so many different resources that you can extract or you can, benefit from if you identify experts in different areas.
Yeah, it's perfect. When you can find that good partner leverage point that benefits you both. I'm always of the opinion that, even going into deals, that I want it to benefit everyone involved. That's me, that's the buyer, that's the seller, that's the tenant. If there's a tenant, we try and take care of everyone involved, because you can leverage other resources. I mean, I still get to this day deals sent to me from sellers that I've sold their property, and they just loved, our process. They love what we do. I have a deal right now that I'm working on that the one guy, he was a buyer. Now he's, looking at liquidating, and he's like, I want to deal with you directly. I want to just deal with you because I understand your process. I understand how you go about taking care of people. I understand how you're looking to, make certain everyone involved is, taken care of. So that's something that I've ingrained in me that says, hey, you know what? There's other people, period, involved. So let's leverage what resources we have together to solve those problems, to make things happen.
So now let's spin this forward even further to today's time, in current time. So you got back into real estate, leveraging the leads of someone else and their marketing budget, but bringing to the table your experience on negotiating deals and putting together systems. So as I alluded to earlier, it sounded very similar to what we're able to do now with Deal Finders. Over the years, I've had times where my We Buy Houses funnel, my marketing budget, has hit $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month in a marketing mix of cable and network TV ads, of vehicle like MTA bus signs, billboards on the side of the road, saturated neighborhoods with door hangers, radio advertisements, so you name it, pay-per-click ads online, you name it, we've done it in terms of the marketing mix. But it's not a badge of honor to just spend a lot of money or say I have a $50,000 marketing budget. I mean, including direct mail. It doesn't prove anything, that you can spend that amount of money. What is, shows your ability to stand the test of time and be successful is being able to operate with the return on that investment. So, are you spending the money wisely? Are you using the right marketing mix? Are you using the newest, latest, and greatest cutting edge technologies to maximize your marketing dollar? And so what we've done over the years, is we've constantly tested, evaluated, tweaked, changed, improved, optimized, and with a goal to perfect, our marketing. And so for people that come into this business and, they don't have a budget to do to start out with $1,000 a month marketing budget, let alone $5,000 and $10,000, like probably, the organization had that you were working with, but they can come in and, leverage our systems. That's the other people's, right? Other OPS, other people's systems, right? So OPR, other people's resources, right? OPP, other people's people, so they can leverage, the proven track record, the expertise that, other organizations have, and then partner with them strategically. And that's what we do with Deal Finders. People come in, they're looking to wholesale, They don't know, how to get started, how to off market deals, how to find cash buyers. And so they come in, we do the heavy lifting with the marketing, we give them the qualified lead, and then they're able to, take the guidance that we give them with how to get the property under contract, et cetera. So we can hopefully get under contract and split the wholesale fees 50-50. And it's funny that you just share it with everyone. That's how you got back into real estate. And that's how your full-time, organization here in your latest iteration, that's how you did it. You partnered with an organization that had the leads. You brought, some experience, and you brought time. You brought your time as the main component. And that's how you were able to get back in the business. So that's the opportunity that we love to put forth to everyone watching is, to partner with us in that same way. I mean, I know you've been very, instrumental and been a great strategic partner and leader in support with our Deal Finders program, helping to evaluate the deals, helping to provide the experience that it takes to structure these deals. So, for folks looking to work with us in that way, I certainly encourage you to check us out. You can go to dealfinders.info and take advantage of a very educational online workshop at dealfinders.info. So now spinning it even forward on another level, Kevin, I know that you've been also very hands-on in our Mastermind program and our Mastermind Pro Group. What I've tried to do, and hopefully, this is something that, that's clear to you, is that I try to invest in my strategic partners, people that, that I believe in, people that I trust, implicitly, people that I would essentially be willing to give like the login codes to my bank statements, knowing that, my bank accounts, knowing that they would do what needs to be done and not have any money show up missing. So clearly you're one of those partners for me that I've, entrusted with my entire business and reputation. So spinning it forward again, when you got back in the business, I was always looking for ways for us to work together, so I know we worked together, with the Deal Finders program. I know that, you were one of the inaugural 10 mastermind members in our mastermind program. You have leveraged your experience and expertise and that you developed and working together with me over the years in marketing. You leverage that experience, to run our seller marketing JV and our mastermind pro group. So I'll give you an opportunity to talk about that. And then we'll also talk about one of the things that I had been encouraging you. So it's one thing to get started as an investor. It's another thing to actually take on a leadership and an authority position in the marketplace where people recognize you as one of the, go-to leaders and experts, in the Baltimore area. So what I'd encourage you to do is to get out there, and start your own, real estate meeting, start your own, real estate meetup. And so what I want you to share is talk through, the experience you've had in the mastermind group, leading and spearheading our seller marketing JV, and then spin that forward to, how we helped you to launch the Buy Baltimore Meetup, which now gives you a very large platform as a recognized leader in real estate investing in the Baltimore metro area.
Sure. So definitely, yeah. The mastermind has probably, it made me take a second look at my business. I'll be honest, 2017, 16, 17, and a little bit of 18, honestly, I probably got a little bit lazy. I'll be the first to admit it. Deals were, getting done pretty rapidly. I didn't have to put a ton of effort into it at that point. I had, certain marketing systems set up to be able to, work it. And the mastermind, in my opinion, allowed me to grow beyond what I was already doing in terms of just kind of my simplified, bubble type of a business, because, I'm in the business. So I'm not out there, teaching. I take students on here and there, but what do they call it? I'm not a guru. I don't even consider myself a guru, but I'm in the business. I actually do the business. So I had no intention of necessarily going outside of that bubble. Here and there I would take a student on, but, with the deals mastermind, it with the seller marketing, it exposed me to a different market. First and foremost, I hadn't done a lot in DC, and with that, we've had some successes with that. And and understanding it. When you go into a different market, certainly techniques, matter, and techniques are, somewhat the same, but you still have a different mentality of, how the sellers in that market react, how, which strategies work best, which, how to present offers. So it actually exposed me into taking what I know and saying, okay, let me reevaluate and refine that again. From my first iteration to the second iteration to, hey, you know what, this is a third in terms of expanding and, managing additional people, beyond just my core, small, people that I had, my virtual assistants, to managing, acquisition managers and, some other people. So it's expanded additionally what things that I already kind of had worked with, and said, okay, well, let's take it a step further. Let's take it to the next level. And with that, I've been able to take a look at my own systems and refine, take, a look at, additional systems and going beyond my own market and refine and continue to grow, and take a look and say, okay, well, what technologies exist now that didn't when I started? And
Yep.
that's the things that we as a business owner, and that's, I really, when I bring on students, that's kind of, I have to make a very stark contrast to them that, hey, look, this is what you're learning versus this, which is, there's a wholesaling and then there's a running a business of a wholesale, company. And it's completely, I won't say it's completely different, but there are certain nuances that you have to understand and have to, really hone your skills in to be
Yep.
able to do both. Because there's a stark difference in doing, managing people and understanding budgets and tracking and all the different systems and processes, and holding people accountable and holding yourself accountable. I take everything, on that any project I take on, I say, hey, you know what? I am the line in the sand. Everything is my fault. So if anything goes right, typically I don't even take that credit. But if anything goes wrong, I'm certainly the person to blame, and I'm going to be the person to correct it. So it actually pushed me outside of that comfort zone of, hey, yes, your deals are coming in pretty, regularly. Well, guess what? Let's expand that. Let's continue to grow. And it helped my business because, quite honestly, if you look at what the real estate market looks like now, the barrier to entry is even lower. So you have to refine and understand your processes so much more now, because the competition is great. I look at it as a great thing. I look at it as something to grow me personally, but I also look at it as something that's going to grow the industry and say, hey, you know what? This is a viable business. I've always looked at it as a viable business, but even more so now, with some of the things that are in place. And the Mastermind has, exposed me to some of the tools that I've been searching for, in some cases, and some things that we, had to build out, quite frankly. So in terms of growth, it's allowed me to network with other investors that are doing, condo conversion deals and, putting together syndications of, growing capital. That's something that I've, put on my plate to say, you know what, I need to, increase the capital I've raised. I've, done small deals here and there with, strategic partners and raising capital, but I have yet to grow that, large capital, account to really go in and start, doing some of the other things that I want to do. So those are the exposing things that happen within a mastermind to say, hey, I understand, you have your strengths, you have your weaknesses, but here are some things that, you can expose yourself to additionally beyond just a transaction. Here's some business processes. Here's some, people who are running their business, which is also real estate in a different manner, in a way that, works for them. And those are some of the things that you can take and incorporate in your business. So it's definitely benefited me, in addition to, or specifically the, getting out in front of a meetup. I've never had a problem speaking. I've done presentations, even when we work together, I've done presentations. It's just never been, and I've gotten this, not only from you, but from other strategic partners to say, hey, Kevin, you have a lot of information. You should start sharing it. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess, but what platform, what is my ultimate goal? How do I, help it? And, through, quite honestly, learning how to run a meetup, how to, put things together to effectively provide value to people in a systematic way. I'm not a seller. I tell people all the time, look, we have programs, they're great programs, but I'm not going to sell you on it because, quite honestly, I'm not going to push you up that hill. I will be, a support system. I can certainly provide you feedback, but ultimately it's up to you. And that's the platform that it's provided me, is to say, hey, here's a way for you to, see the successes that you're looking for, without me having to be that, push up a hill to a person. I certainly provide as much support as I can to anyone in those programs, to anyone that I mentor. But ultimately, I love to put the onus on a person, because I know their success is only going to be as successful as they want to be, quite frankly.
Correct.
So every single student and any person coming through those doors, that look, I'm going to give you and I'm going to show you those tools, but it's going to be up to you whether or not you use them.
Yeah, I always love when I interview someone for our Mastermind program. After I ask them about their goals, and I tell them, well, based on your goals, I think, our 12-month Mastermind program may be a good fit for you. And then when I, conduct the interview, and then, someone asks me, well, how long do you think it'll take for me to do X, Y, and Z? And I said, and my answer is always, well, that depends on you. How much work are you going to put in? How consistent are you going to be with that work? Are you going to put the work in 1 week and then take a week off? Are you going to, stick with, your goals for, 3 months and then give up? Are you going, so it depends on you. It took me 18 months to get my first deal done. Imagine if I would have quit on month 17, then we wouldn't be here. So how long are you going to stick with it? How consistent will you be? How much, effort will you put in? We all have family. Some of us has a larger family. Some of us have significant others, wives, husbands, whatever. If you're coming into real estate, you're making income some sort of way, either, your part-time job, full-time job, may have 2 jobs. We all have life happening to us. We have issues. So the I'm busy, it just never flies as a legitimate excuse, right? Or reason. So if you want something bad enough, you put the time in, you put the work in, you surround yourself with the right people, and then you just don't give up. You go for it, you take action, and you just keep going until you achieve, your goal. So it was so cool to hear you, Kevin, talk through, and some of these things, I didn't even remember, going all the way back to the fact that, you used to work at a title company. And then, of course, that the position that you had interviewed for was the property inspection. Inspector.
Into a lot more.
Yeah. So yeah, you really, caught me up to speed, and I'm sure it gave everyone watching a nice, true, story and evolution of how you got started, how even with the exposure to all the proven systems and success that you were, creating as an employee, but still had the fear of actually doing it yourself. And, if you take away one thing for anyone watching, that even if you see people around you and you see others being successful in real estate, it's okay to have that fear, because all of us did at some point in time. I had that fear. It took me 18 months to get my first deal done. And I had a very close friend who was trying to help me, was willing to partner with me. And I kept shooting holes in all the deals and opportunities he would bring to me. I was looking for that perfect deal. Well, guess what? I'm still looking for that perfect deal. 20 years later, perfect deals don't exist. So don't fret. Don't worry if you are afraid, if you have some anxiety, or if you just, you want to do it, but oh my gosh,
I would add to that if you have some fear, that's a good thing, because it's going to give you a little bit of drive. It'll give you some caution, because you do want to have a little bit of caution in real estate, but it'll also fuel you, because when you think you're making mistakes, or when you think, something, and you see you get over it, it gives you a boost of energy to say, oh, wait a minute, I thought this was going to happen, but it didn't. And that fear gives you that extra energy. And, I push myself regularly to do things outside of the box. And, to this day, even though I'm experienced in a lot of different transactions and a lot of different deals, some stuff I get a little queasy, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me take a second look at this. Am I okay here? And that fear just gives you a little bit of energy as well as intuition to say, you know what, let me be thorough, not, arrogant in terms of what I think I know versus, what I do know. So I would say fear is a good thing. It's a motivator.
So yeah, and just wrap it up. The fact that you were able to overcome that fear, you eventually, took the action. it was necessary to actually get that first deal done. You applied the strategies that we had, and you sent out a small direct mail campaign, which, what do you know, returned some phone calls, some replies, some responses, and one of those calls turned into your first deal. So again, guys, if you're watching, this is not rocket science. There's a proven way to actually find deals in real estate. There's a very proven way to fund and finance real estate investments, even if you don't have good credit, even if you don't have a lot of cash. There are ways to do it. There's proven ways to do it. There's great different systems and strategies to flip properties to buyers, to flip properties to tenants. And there's a number of different ways to do it. It just depends on the situation. The bottom line is you don't have to have all the answers to all these questions, okay, to get started. Just find someone that has the experience, work with them on your first, maybe second, third, fifth, fourth, fifth number of deals, and then you'll be able to, get in the game and get started, and then you'll be off to the races. So it was very cool, Kevin, hearing you share those early days of experiences all the way through you coming back into the game, partnering with an investor to be investing full time, and now providing a very valuable resource as a member of our Mastermind program and our pro group, and overseeing our seller marketing JV campaign. The fact that you've now elevated yourself as a co-organizer and recognized as one of the industry leaders in real estate investing, co-organizing the Buy Baltimore meetup. And so it's really, really cool. I mean, how to see this 15-year evolution of yourself as a real estate investor. And I just, can't thank you enough for being a very trusted strategic partner of mine. You definitely helped me and my business over the years. And hopefully, you feel like I've done the same for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I just
want to say thank you as well, because I wouldn't have taken a leap. You pushed me, to take that leap all that time ago. And, I've just benefited continuously from it. I continue to, rely on you as a resource. I've never had I've paid for one other mentorship, which, has worked out as well. But in terms of resource as a, person to go to, I'm always, always, always thankful for those people that I consider my peers, because I don't know everything. And, I rely upon, individuals like yourself that I've been able to network with at a high level, and continue to rely on when those things come up. That I'm, maybe I need to partner with, or maybe, just the feedback on, if I'm thinking, this through correctly. So it's I'd say thank you as well.
All right. Well, we look forward to, just many more years of success and growth together. And, if anyone is, interested in talking to Kevin, you can reach Kevin at Buy Baltimore Meetup. Kevin, you definitely are an admin of the Buy Baltimore Meetup page on Facebook, so you can reach Kevin there. You can reach me at dealmastery.com or dealsmeetup.com. But we just look forward to networking with you, to helping to elevate and helping investors to achieve their goals. Whether you're new or an experienced investor, it doesn't matter. Whether it's the first deal, or whether you're looking to take your business to the next level, you can benefit by having a network of strategic partners, people, that care about your growth and about long-term relationships. Because that's why Kevin and I are having this conversation, is because we both invested in each other's relationship. And that's why we're, still doing business 15 years later. So, we would love, to start a relationship with you if you're watching this video. So again, you can go to dealmastery.com. You can go find and check out Kevin at Buy Baltimore. And we just look forward to talking to you guys soon. Kevin, thanks a lot for your time. Looking forward to, seeing you at our next function.
Yep. Take action, guys. I'm telling you. It works.
Take action. All right, buddy. Take care.